And here we go. We're live. Here comes the music. And skip happens.
Regret is a howling wolf, crying, you fool, you're not worth saving. Sadness is the weight of stones, pulling me down, deep waters calling. Grief is a candle blown, nothing to see once twilight's faded. It's hard to keep believing. Above every storm, the cloudless sky is waiting for me and you. And it's raining hallelujah.
There it is, raining hallelujah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Skip Happens. Skip Clark, your host. My good friend up there, Deb Lamphere, the president and founder of the official country music fan club. And right over there, you hear her right now. See, listen.
You never can do that.
Straight to the heart, a death defy.
I know, we're
Yeah, raining hallelujah, ladies and gentlemen, viewers, listeners. Shannon LaBrie, how are you?
I am doing great. Thank you.
It's so good to meet you. I've heard so much about you, and they said, you got to get Shannon on your podcast, and you're going to absolutely love her.
Mhm.
So,
Oh boy. All right. The bar has been set. I must be lovable. Oh no.
you are.
Yeah.
You are already, and we're
found it
loving.
about 5 minutes before it started. So
Yeah.
There you go. Welcome. Your music right off the bat, I got to tell you, I love it. It's a little bit different, and I like that. I love your voice. But we're going to talk about that here in a moment. But first of all, where are you? Describe your surroundings. Where in the world is Shannon?
Where in the world is Shannon? I am on a mid-century modern vintage velvet green sofa. I am an avid mid-century modern furniture lover.
Really?
And I'm in my home here. I live in East Nashville. I've lived here for 12 years. And this is my place I moved to in the middle of 2020. So,
Wow. Right in the middle of the pandemic.
yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I
was
remember
crazy.
that. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That was crazy.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to forget it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would agree.
But having great music from people like yourself make it a whole lot easier to accept what's going on around us. So,
I
absolutely.
agree.
So, tell us a little bit about you, Shannon. You said you've been in Nashville since 2008 or so, 2009?
Yes.
Back a little bit.
Actually, I moved here. I'm horrible with time, by the way, and actually pretty dyslexic. But I moved here. I remember I was very young, but I moved here when Obama was elected into his first term. And that is how I know when
That's
I
how
moved
you
here.
know.
Because I remember I moved here from Colorado, and he did the his speech in Denver, and I remember watching it on TV because I had friends at that. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's my marker, because if not, I would be like, yeah, I moved here in 1972, and it's been going good ever since.
Did you move there by yourself, or did your?
I did. Yeah, I moved here. I lived. I've have kind of I'm a little bit of a weirdo, I think, but I moved away when I was younger, probably when I was 17 or 18, and then from Nebraska. Nebraska is where I was born and raised. And a very funny, ironic thing is I'm allergic to corn, which
I was going to say
it's
that's
hilarious.
corn country.
I know it is. So I also love football. But I moved to Virginia. My dad's family lived there. My dad passed away when I was a kid, but his family and I are really close. And so I went and spent some time with them. Ended up moving into I feel like I make this up when I say this, but I ended up living in my Astro minivan for like 6 months.
You did?
I know, it was just the wildest.
Well, actually,
man,
I think that's great, but I have one question on that topic. Where do you shower and all that stuff?
Yeah. It's YMCA, man. You can go and you can give him $2 and you can use the showers at YMCA.
Wow.
When we talked to Jimmy Allen, because he was living out of his car for a little bit, and he would
I
go
know.
to
I love him. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And he would go to the Y to take a shower and get cleaned up, and then he would go to work. Then he would come back, and he lived in his car for a little bit.
Yeah. I think there should be like a YMCA tour that we all need to do to say thank you for letting us be clean. But yeah, but I lived in my van, and anyway, I ended up living in Houston for like the smallest stint. And when I lived in Houston, it was in the summer, and I had no air conditioner in my car. And I remember just thinking like, I hate humidity, which is just the heat was it's just so thick there. I have so much respect for people that live in Houston. And then I moved to Colorado, and then I moved to Nashville, and
wow.
yeah, and I've been here ever since. So it's home to me now for sure.
So you've I know you've done 3 albums already.
Yeah.
And that goes back a little bit from the first time that you hit Nashville. I looked it up here. Well, no, it was 2013. You dropped the first one.
Yeah.
2016, the second one. And then as I look here, 2020 for the third one, which is Raining Hallelujah is what that is off of.
Yes. Yeah, I recorded actually, so also if you just let me know. I love to talk. It's like
Please
a curse on me. So I'm just gonna keep talking to you. And
Skip, you have competition tonight now.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming, Shannon. I knew she would say something right off the top because let me just now I'm going to start talking, right? This is what happens is we'll get done with the podcast and we usually hang out and we talk a little bit and she'll go, you talked a lot tonight.
Yeah. You didn't let me get any questions on. You didn't.
Yeah, I hear that. If my sister and my mom and I are in the same room, all of my brothers, it's like this. Wow, it was amazing. We just sat in silence for an entire night because my mom and my sister and I will just. It's unstoppable.
That's okay.
Believe it or not, I'm actually pretty quiet. My wife's side of the family, they just gab go. They go 100 miles an hour. And
that's probably where you learn to talk. It's because you're around them so much, and you're like, if I don't find a way to fight into this conversation, which is much like the brother-in-laws in my family, you'll never get a word in.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather not get a word in. I just let them go. It's when I'm doing this that I just start rambling. So, and if I do that, to just say, Skip, you need to shut up.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let her tell her story now.
See, now I'm trying to remember what it was. I can't even remember. Something about Nashville. Oh, Nebraska. I can't even remember.
And you're allergic to corn.
Yes. No, but I am originally from Nebraska. That's where my family is. And
you're talking about your dad too, I think.
Well, yeah. Well, with the first record. So my first record, just to be honest, I was working. So point being, yes. Last night I went. Tia Sillers is one of my very good friends. One of my closest friends, actually. And she is a great songwriter, Grammy Award-winning songwriter. And she's written everything that I've newly been working on with me. And the new record and Raining Hallelujah we wrote together. But last night I got to be her date to the Songwriter Hall of Fame inductee ceremony because she's been nominated for the Songwriter Hall of Fame now 2 years in a row. She was nominated in 2020 and this year. But it was just so funny being there and hearing all these great songwriters tell their stories. And because when I think about my first record, I'm like, man, that was, that was a long time ago. That's like, I was just a little baby, kind of starting out. And these songwriters and artists who have Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood, just brushed my leg as they walked by me. And Vince Gill made me cry. It was just like a proper night in Nashville, Tennessee. But, it was just so encouraging to know, like, man, yeah, these are people with 12 albums. And I think I'm, just really capped it at my third one. Not capped, but, you just, anyway, it was super encouraging to hear all of that. And when I think of my first record, Garth Brooks' manager, Bob Doyle, actually his son, kind of took me under his wing when I first moved to Nashville. And I moved to this town. I'm that story of packed my car up, did not know a single person. One of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. It was very hard. And I always love it at coffee shops when I run into people and I kind of can sense that they're new here. I'm just like, man, like you just got to make it. Everybody was like, make it 3 years in this town. You just got to get through the third year and then you'll start to have your friends and you'll build a community and it's so worth it. But Bob Doyle's son, I remember writing all these songs and I had a couple holds on, Lady Antebellum record and Carrie Underwood and some other amazing artists I love. But he was like, Shannon, you're an artist and you should go make a record. I was like, okay. And when he said, I was like, yeah, I should do that. And I went. So that's how I made my first record. Was he
Oh.
said, go make a record. I was like, all right, I'll do it.
Shannon, how did you get into music in the first place?
Yeah, so music for me was my dad. I grew up on a farm in Nebraska, and my dad was an incredible guitar player, just self-taught in our very small town, played at church, but he wrote his own songs. And I started playing by ear. I would listen to, there's a piano player called Dino, and I used to listen to his records and pick it out on the piano. And I remember my mom and my dad were like, wow, Shannon has an inclination here to music. And I ended up, very long story short, I got really sick as a kid and was sick for about 3 or 4 years, just kind of in and out of the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And then once I got out of the hospital, which I'm obviously fine now, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And as he got sicker, I started to really, piano is my first instrument, but I really just became so obsessed with the guitar because that's what he played. And I was just telling my friend about this the other day, but he taught me a few chords, and he actually taught me how to play Yesterday by Paul McCartney.
Oh, wow.
And that was, he ended up passing away when I was 13. But that last 6 months, I remember I got really good at Yesterday. And I used to play that for my dad, like at his bedside.
That's a great memory to have.
Yeah.
It is a great memory. And wherever you are, Paul McCartney, I love you. Thank you.
Mhm.
But after my dad passed away, music became my best friend. It really did. It became my comforter. It became such a way of me to process grief, and I just never stopped. So,
Wow. That's pretty deep.
It is.
yeah, I know.
But it's
Wow.
amazing
Yeah.
what music can do for
Yeah.
one's soul,
Yeah,
because it's just it speaks to us in
Yeah.
many different
It
ways.
does.
yeah.
And it
The
does heal.
power, yeah,
Mhm.
it does heal, and the power of melody and song. Like which I just talked to my mom about this recently. It- you know how you have like kind of repressed memories from your child. You just forget a lot of things. And then sometimes they pop in your head. You're like, wow. But I remember after my dad passed away, there was a hospice center down the road from me. And I was 13, but I would go down there and I'd play for them. And I will just never forget. You would see someone in pain, and I would start to sing and play. And that's the beauty of music, and the power of it is you would see the pain kind of subside for a moment. And I mean, that's probably one of the most powerful lessons I've ever learned about music is
Wow.
it has the power to just really calm the flames of pain in life. And
That's a great way to put
I
it.
believe
like
in it. Yeah.
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 Wow. It's heavy. It's good stuff though to hear. And it's just with music, I mean, there's nothing better than music.
Yeah.
And all the different genres and everything. And depending what your mood is and what you're going through in life, and there's always a song there for you. What about your songwriting? Talk to us a little bit about that. It's a little bit different, I think. I mean, maybe that's my opinion. But Raining Hallelujah. And now, you listen to certain country songs and they sound like this and others sound like that, but you have a different sound.
Yeah. Yes, I think that I do, and you're not alone in that thought. But I grew up because I listened. So my dad learned how to play guitar by listening to James Taylor by ear. He learned by ear, and so I learned to play piano and guitar by ear. And I learned by listening to the Beatles, James Taylor, the Dixie Chicks,
Oh, yeah.
and many other. I mean, Garth Brooks is definitely in there. So I learned by listening to a lot of the music that my dad loved and my family loved. And then there's kind of a mixture of that because for whatever reason, God made me with this like soul kind of backbeat. I can't even explain it. But I do remember I love country music so much. And I mean the Judds. Love can build a bridge
Oh, wow.
between two hearts of mine. I remember hearing that song and I was like crying as a little kid. And I remember my friend's mom came in, she's like, "Are you okay?" And I looked at her, I'm like, "This song is so good." And she's like, "I know it is. It's good." But that was such a powerful influence in me. And then I also discovered the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which is an amazing record. And so these two kind of genres really influenced me growing up. And I think they just influenced the way I play. And so I think there's a little bit of a different I don't know, a little Nebraska bone, I guess.
No,
Probably ate too much corn. That's what it is.
no, but you're allergic to it. So no,
I
I
know.
doubt it
Yeah.
was the corn. But you mentioned Lauryn Hill and you mentioned the Judds and the others.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's where your sound comes from. You're right. It's now that you've mentioned it, now I'm thinking about your music. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's such a weird yeah, it's a weird mix. And then I mean, I just love there's just so many artists I love. But I mean, country music is definitely the base of it, and then it just kind of built up. And obviously, country music is still very much the foundation of my music and the kind of music I play. Because at the root of every song, I am a storyteller, and that's
Mhm,
why I love
mhm,
country music is because
mhm.
we're storytellers. And so, yeah.
There's definitely a lot of good stories out there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
So, and it's amazing how many we can relate to. It's might be your story, but one of those stories has happened to us in our lives and
oh yeah.
totally relate. So,
Yeah. And I think about that all the time with just a song yesterday. It's like, man, does Paul McCartney have any idea that that song was kind of the soundtrack to this 12-year-old girl's, kind of one of the hardest years of my life, but it like made
Mhm,
me
mhm,
feel so not alone. And that is just a lesson in music I will never forget. And I feel honored to be a musician because I know in the hopes that I don't, if this song reaches one person's ear, the one
mhm,
thing I
mhm,
hope that they
mhm,
know is you're not alone, you know?
mhm. Do you think that everything you've been through, I mean, you lost your dad at a young age, everything in life that you have been through has made you a better songwriter, a better performer, artist in general?
Yes. I think
Mhm,
everything just a little I believe philosophically just in life in general, I think everything does make us better and stronger.
mhm,
And so yeah, it's made me a better songwriter. And I think if anything, the struggles that I've been through in my life have made me just dig my heels in a little more into the reality of it.
mhm,
And I think it's made me less afraid. And I think the older I get, I just hope I become less afraid, every day of
mm,
things. And because, fear is just it's a powerful feeling. And I think that fear can separate people from one another and create a lot of chaos.
mhm,
And I think, I don't know, I think
yeah,
that the more I know, the less scared I am. And the less scared I am, I think the
yeah,
better friend and woman I
mhm,
can be.
yeah, don't let
So,
fear run your life. Don't let
mm-mm.
it
yeah.
overcome you,
Yeah.
stand up to it.
That's right. I
Face our
agree with
fears.
that. Yes.
And
Face
it's
our
hard.
fears.
It's hard.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Nobody likes to it's and the fear of the unknown too is always scary because when you're walking into a new environment, whatever, a new job, or you think you're gonna
Yeah.
change, not knowing what's ahead, all of that is
Yeah.
very scary. So,
And
I mean,
it's
oh, go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I would say you had to have felt that way when you first moved to Nashville. You packed up and just came, you didn't know what to expect.
I know.
That's fear in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was scary. I will admit I have a little bit of a wild, I'm the middle child in my family, so I'm like that squiggly hair out the side
yeah,
of the head that's like, "What is she doing?" So in some ways, it's like I couldn't be any other way. But in the times I've been afraid, I think the base of it has always been being afraid to be unliked. I think
Mhm.
that's kind of been the root of it, and I definitely am growing more and more every day, and I'm thankful to be in a place where it's like, "Okay,
yeah.
what's the worst that's gonna happen? These people don't like me.
Oh well,
Okay. Yeah, okay."
oh
You
Yeah.
well.
know?
Move on.
That's okay.
For everyone that doesn't like you, there's probably two more that do.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, at any rate, we have our friends and we have the people that are
Yeah,
close to us and that really know us. But yeah, I think the last 5 years in particular, I've really had to stir down a lot of my fear and come to terms with it. And it's been really healing and
mhm.
helpful to realize that wow, the worst of it isn't actually as bad as I don't know, I thought it was.
Wow. And now we're talking about fear. We talk about being allergic to corn.
That's
Um,
right. Yeah.
how often do you get to talk to your mom or talk to the rest of the fam and all that? Do you keep in touch on a regular basis now that you're
I
there and they're
do.
there or some other, in Nebraska? So
Yeah, I've grown really grown really close to my mom. And for any mothers out there that are
mhm.
listening to this, maybe you're not having the best relationship with your teenage daughter. And I'm here to tell you, hold on, it will come back around. My mom and I did not get along when I was younger, but we're extremely close now, and I'm really thankful to have her wisdom and her relationship in my life. So I talk to my mom probably every couple days at least. And my siblings, I have 13 nieces and nephews.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so my siblings have literally been fruitful and
That's an expensive
multiplied.
Christmas
Yeah,
right there.
it
I
is.
mean,
I know.
it's
I
like
remember
crazy.
that the one of the years I decided to take all my nieces, which I think was at the time it was 8 nieces. Like,
Mhm.
oh, this is great. I'm going to take them all to get a pedicure. And they were all so young. And I got to the place and the guy looked at me, he's like, "Are these yours?" I'm like, "Oh, no, no, these are my nieces." And he looks at me and goes, "You're brave." Like,
Oh, yeah.
wow. Like,
Seriously.
yeah. But no, it's super fun to stay in touch with them and looking forward to Christmas with them for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Family, there's nothing more important than family. If you can
Yeah.
all get together or somehow keep in touch. What about the
Mm.
pandemic and all that? We talked about it a little bit, but it had to really put like everything you were doing, had to put the brakes on. Or how did all that work out for you?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the biggest pad of brakes,
Yeah,
right? And ever of all
it's like,
time. Yeah.
stop.
Yeah. It was so for me, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm reflecting back here.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, the pandemic. So I went on tour the beginning of 2020. So at the end of 2019, I got out of a 10-year relationship that was felt very much like a divorce. I mean, for
Yep,
sure, that's
yep.
what it felt like.
I know.
And so I got out of that relationship, which I'm very thankful for. Very thankful for, and has been uh, just good and very healing. And that experience has been a lot in this last record that I just released called
Mhm.
Building.
I was going to ask.
But
Okay.
yep, it's a very big part of that. And went into January, February, was touring a bunch and was just working. Have been working with Tia Sillers. Tia came on tour
Hmm.
with us for a little bit. Been writing a bunch, and then February I came back. I came back with pneumonia, and now looking
Oof.
back, I kind of wonder if I had maybe the first
Yeah.
bit of COVID, maybe.
Sure.
Mhm.
But was sick for a while, and then everything shut down that end of March. And of course, in Nashville, it was such a wild the month of March because March 3rd, I live in East Nashville, and the tornado just ripped through our city.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And a lot of my friends, I lived 2 streets over at the time, and so that was such a huge rebuilding thing. So that was like 2 weeks, and then before we knew it, we were in the middle of the pandemic. So when everything shut down, and we had just recorded Tia and me and my publisher had just been in the studio recording a new record. We had just
Hmm.
done a first session, and we're a little old school in Nashville because the studio I work out of, it's analog, and
Oh,
so
wow.
we play with our band. We play
Hmm.
live in the
Hmm.
studio.
Oh, I love that
Um,
though.
Yeah.
yeah, I also I really enjoy that process a lot because I've actually, I don't think I've ever done a record like that before. But we had done
Cool.
one session, and so going into the pandemic, I don't know, it just obviously everything froze. And then I remember my publisher called me. I was supposed to go on my first European tour, and she called me and she's like, "Shannon, I don't think this is gonna happen." And I'm like, "Oh, it's gonna be fine. This is gonna be like a week. We're gonna be good." And then it ended up getting canceled. And then I
Oh,
remember just conversations a few weeks after, and Tia and Dee and I just all decided, you know what? We have 7 songs. And yes, we had plans to record many more songs and many more sessions. But you know what? This is pandemic, and if anything, we need more music. We need music, and
hmm,
we
hmm.
need it in our lives. So we
Mhm.
decided to release Building, and I'm really thankful for it because I am a little bit of a workaholic, and if I stay still too long, I go a little crazy, which I know a lot of us do. And
Hmm.
so I was really thankful to be able to work on that album. And it was weird because you're not playing, you're not touring, you're not singing,
Right.
but it was just great to be able to even like this online, like you guys, I
Yeah.
can tell, have been very inventive as well
Yeah.
with your podcast.
We've had to learn a lot. We had to learn a lot really quick, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's been crazy because
Mhm.
a lot of the artists like yourself, when they would come through on the radio tour and get to meet the
Yeah.
programmers and stop by
Mhm.
the radio stations, all that came to a halt. But
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
up to that point, though, when they did come through, because I have the full podcast studio, we would bring them in here and we would do it all right here.
Mhm.
And now we had to revert to doing
Yeah.
this the way that we're doing it. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, it's been pretty good. It's been
Mhm.
really good what we're doing.
Oh,
And to get artists like you on, even with the circumstances that surround us, I mean,
yeah.
we're still able to do that. And
Yeah.
and I think you as an artist take advantage of, platforms like this. Number one, just to get yourself out there, but maybe jump on and play some night and have a Venmo or whatever people can contribute to the cause. And who would have thought? So there is some good that came out of this.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I can tell you are a fellow optimist. I'm a diehard optimist. Like I annoy the
Absolutely.
hell out of my friends because I'm always, it's like the worst thing ever. And I'm like, yeah, but look at this. This is
Mhm.
I
good.
know exactly.
Yeah.
Ask
Yeah.
Deb.
I
Yeah.
found a lot of I found a lot of positives over the last year. I mean, I always definitely felt bad of anybody that it affected health-wise,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
but there was so many more other things that came out of it personally
Mhm.
and professionally. So,
Yeah.
people just
And
need to
I would never, wish that on anyone, what we've
right.
been through. But I will say most of my friends, and I don't know, it was just the weirdest thing. I think that we were all kind of
Mhm.
longing for a moment of
Mhm.
stillness. And I'm not wishing that this would have happened to anyone, but
Right.
because we were forced into it, it was interesting because I've had many friends that have a lot of, and I mean this is just the reality of where we're at in the world, but there's a lot
Sure.
of people that are like, you know what? I hate my job. You know what I
Mhm.
want to do? I want to be a gardener. And this is what I did through the pandemic. And now I have a business. And I think that's beautiful. And I think people have
Exactly.
kind of come back to their roots. And then there's people like me or one of my best friends, Kashana, who's a fellow artist
Mhm.
in Nashville. And for us, we had friends that were like, I don't want to do music. I don't know why I'm doing music. I don't want to do it anymore. And for me and Kashana, it's like, oh, I know exactly why I do this. And this is what I
Mhm.
want to do forever. So I think it kind of solidified a lot of things, which I'm very thankful for.
Yeah. And we've
Yeah.
become a little more creative as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
complaints. No complaints there
Yes.
at all.
There's been a lot of pivoting and
Mhm.
Pivoting.
yeah,
There's
it's
that
been good.
word pivoting. That
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
has become we've pivoted. We've
Mhm.
we've been pivoting.
Mhm.
I've heard that so much, but it's so
Yes.
true. It's so
Yeah.
Mhm.
true.
I love the word pivot and I love the word recalibrate. Those
Mm.
are those
Mm.
are two words that I feel very in sync with right now.
We need to regroup.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I do.
But
Yeah.
you and I, we're doing it very well. I think all of us.
Yeah.
Deb, I mean, for
Mhm.
what she does and her traveling and the business that she has and what I do doing the radio thing, and I can do it from here. If I need to, I can go to the studio and look at what you're doing, Shannon.
Mm.
Mhm.
And
So, we've
I
all
don't know about you
pivoted.
guys, but like here, so being a musician in Nashville, I'm around music. All the music is my job, and
Mhm.
I'm so privileged and honored that it is my job. But it is my job, and I'm around it all the time. And to be honest with you, and I don't know, I'd be curious to know what other artists have been like this in the past. But when you're on tour and you're playing music so much, or if you're writing, 5 days a week, which again, not complaining, so thankful I get to do that.
Sure.
But when I get in the car, I don't listen. I want quiet.
Silence, right?
That's what I want. I need quiet. And I mean, touring's different. I mean, I listen to a
Mhm.
lot of podcasts and radio when I'm
Mhm,
on the road,
mhm,
but
mhm.
like you kind of long for the silence. And
Mhm.
man, through the pandemic, I swear I went on a date with music for a year and I fell in love with the beauty of
Mhm,
music. And I
mhm.
was discovering all these incredible new artists and I was just loving, and I mean, I'm listening to radio stations from like all over the country and
Uh-huh.
just like hearing what they're playing. And I just got so inspired, truly so deeply inspired by the music that is coming out and the things that people are creating. And
Mhm.
that was a gift. And I know I'm not alone in that because I
No,
know a lot of people fell in love with music again
absolutely not.
over
You're not
that.
alone. I can tell
Mm.
you that much.
Yeah.
Tell you that much.
Mm.
So during all of this time with your songwriting, did you write most of your songs yourself, or did you have a lot of co-writes?
So a lot of so the record, I love to co-write. I
Mhm.
love the process of collaboration. I love working with artists. My favorite thing in the world is sitting in a room with someone different than me, and I play something and they're like, "Oh, what if you did this?" And it's the
Mhm.
best 'cause like, "Oh, I
Mhm,
would have never
mhm.
done that. I'm so
Mhm.
glad you're here. That's so much better than what I was thinking of doing." So I love the process of collaboration, but obviously through the pandemic, everybody, we've been in our pods of people that we could be
Mhm.
safe with. And
Right.
so Tia Sillers and I were in the same pod. And so Tia and I just we dug our heels in
Mhm.
for the pandemic and we wrote a lot. And so building my record that came out, which Rating Hallelujah is the single of right now, and those songs are just like the beginning of everything we've done. I mean, I think Tia and I, we might have close to 100 songs we've written together. I mean,
Wow.
Wow.
we have just really dug in.
Mhm,
So
mhm, mhm.
normally I write with a lot of people, a lot of different people, but through the pandemic, it's really been Tia and I, and we've just truly formed like I don't know, a sisterhood and a
Mhm.
friendship that
That's awesome.
I don't even know how I lived without it, before this. Yeah.
It definitely beats doing a co-write through Zoom or using
Um,
Zoom. You know,
Mhm.
yeah.
being there in person, you see the emotion, you feel the emotion. It's not just looking at a screen or a monitor at somebody else.
Oh yeah.
You're getting to see you can almost read their minds.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. No, it's and I've so also and so many artists and creatives have been writing through Zoom, and I admire that so much because
mhm,
it is particularly difficult for me to do. It's a little easier to do with people that I know really well, but to meet
mhm.
somebody for the first time and just sit down
Mhm.
and write something is it's quite difficult. So the people that strive in that are I admire the hell out of them. But yeah, with Tia, I there's one other songwriter that I've written a lot with. His name is James Teely in town,
Okay.
and I've never met anybody else other than James and Tia, where the collaboration, it's uh this is very Anne of Green Gables phrase, but kindred spirits.
Mhm.
We're very much kindred spirits where we just sit down and it's just like, yeah, I don't even need to I
Mhm,
play
mhm.
something, she says some it's just this amazing experience. But do you guys know Tia? I don't
I've
even know if you know Tia.
heard the name. I can't
Mhm.
say I
Okay.
really know her, but I do know the name. Yes.
So Tia wrote "I Hope You Dance,"
Okay.
one
Maybe
of my
that's where I've seen it. Maybe on
Mhm.
a,
yes,
yep.
one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah, the
And she
Leanne
also
woman.
wrote
Yep.
she wrote a lot. She wrote she's had many songs, but she wrote
Mhm.
"There's Your Trouble" by the Dixie Chicks,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
amazing song. And she also wrote "Blue on Black,"
Oh,
which is
really? Now
Kenny
that
Wayne
I didn't
Shepherd.
know. Okay.
Yeah, and also just recently redone by Five Finger Death Punch, which is the best name ever. Uh,
Say that again, 5
Five Finger
finger.
Death Punch.
yeah,
Wow. Okay.
and Brian May from Queen
Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm.
is on that,
Very
yeah.
cool.
Like, what an awesome
Who would have thought?
collaboration. I know.
You mentioned Five Finger Death Punch. Do you listen to them? Do you
Uh,
do you kind of break
no.
away from what you're doing and listen to another genre every once in a while or no?
I do love I love every genre. I
Okay.
love every genre with the exception of and I'm not saying that I don't think it's good, I'm saying it doesn't impact me. I don't really care for screamo music.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. I get what you're
It
saying.
Mhm.
Yep, but I'm not saying it's not amazing. It's just not my forte. But yeah,
Exactly.
I love all genres. I
Cool.
love R&B, I love rap, I love country, I love Americana. I mean, I like everything.
So
Classical music,
so if I
jazz.
was to jump in your vehicle right now and turn the radio on, what would I hear?
Well, you would hear Lightning 100 on the radio right now because I was just listening to it because my
Okay.
friend had a song on there. And then actually have the CD in my car right now. I
A
got from
CD.
Goodwill. Yep,
Okay.
I have a CD in my Subaru, and it's Nora Jones. So,
Wow. See, Nora Jones. And you said
yeah,
piano is your first
it is
love,
my
right?
first instrument.
Yeah,
Mhm.
first instrument.
Yeah,
And Nora
yep,
Jones, of course, playing the
Mhm.
yes,
piano.
yes. Now, when I first moved into town, into Nashville, I'll never forget driving in my at the
Subaru.
time I drove a nope, this was a 1992 Honda Wagon was what I used to drive
Okay.
with no air
Mhm.
conditioner.
Well, it had
Um,
four wheels and a motor and it got you places.
exactly,
That's all that
That's
exactly.
right.
matters.
Yeah. That's right.
And
But I
good on
remember
gas.
pulling over. It was like 11 p.m. and I pull over and I look at, and I see the Batman building And The Prettiest Thing is a song that Norah Jones has, and it came on.
Oh, wow.
And it just, the first lyric is, "It's the prettiest thing." And I just remember looking at Nashville and I was like, this is my home. This is it.
It's your dream.
Yeah.
That was your dream, your
right.
passion. You wanted to hit Nashville. You got to
Yeah.
Nashville. You see what we
Yes.
all call the Batman building, and you
Yeah.
go, wow, I
Yeah.
am in Nashville.
That's right.
Now I got to
It's
find
a
a place to
pretty,
live.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Now I need to find something other than the place I'm staying at tonight that I found on Craigslist, which was my first night in Nashville. And I swear if my mom heard these stories, she would
Oh,
just
yeah.
be
Well, they're
mortified.
not unusual because
I
many,
know
many
that.
of the artists that Deb and I talk to, the stories are very similar about
Yeah.
hitting Nashville, living in their car. The first place they stayed at, it was a place they found on Craigslist, and they
Mhm.
couldn't wait to get out of there.
Yeah.
These stories are very similar.
Yep. Yeah.
And
I
and and
think
and I
Go
don't
ahead.
think a lot of people realize that, when you go to Nashville, you're pursuing a dream. I know they know that part, but it's how do you get there? How do you
Yeah.
actually get yourself
Started. How do you even get
Mhm.
started? I mean, you
in
go there
what you
for
go
music.
through?
Where do you
Yeah,
even begin?
Mhm. Yeah. And it's my gosh, and that's that's the beautiful thing about Nashville, Tennessee. So much about it is just that there's so many of us, crazy people showering at the YMCA and
Mhm.
sleeping in the back of our Astra minivans that live here, and we're doing it because we love music. And it's
exactly.
just we might be crazy, and I'm okay with that, I
Well,
guess.
you have obviously done very well. The three
Mhm.
full albums, the EPs you have out there, the singles that you've dropped. I mean, that it takes a while to do that, and you've done a lot in a short period of time. Realistically thinking here, looking at the time frame, that's a lot.
Mhm.
That's a lot.
Well, thank you for saying that. It doesn't feel like a lot, but it
It is.
feels but yeah, I'm thankful. I'm just really thankful to I think I just truly got really lucky when I got to town. Because I just there's there's so many people that I could have worked with where it would have been a different experience.
Mhm.
But the people that I ended up connecting with early on were just really incredible people. And they're amazing. And they had nothing to gain. Like Mike Doyle at Bob Doyle and
Uh-huh.
Garth Brooks Manager's Company,
Right.
like had nothing to gain by kind of mentoring me in songwriting.
Mhm.
But he did because he saw something he believed in. And that's the thing about Nashville is it's just full of people like that that love music that much to be like, you know what? I'm gonna take 4 hours out of my life every
Mhm.
couple
Mhm.
weeks, and I'm gonna sit down with this girl and tell her why all her songs suck. And one day,
Mhm.
she'll write songs that don't suck so bad.
Mhm.
Mhm.
No,
And,
it's so true.
you know,
Mhm.
it's
And I
amazing.
believe people like that do that because they've been in that situation and
Yeah,
they know what Shannon like what you were going through, what was going on because they had been there. Now
yeah,
they've kind of grown out of that stage, but they're willing to go back and help somebody else that is
yep,
just starting
yeah.
that stage.
No,
So,
it's a beautiful community, and so last night, there's a quote that I hear often, and I heard it again last night at the Songwriter Hall of Fame. One of the guys was saying, Jim James, who's incredible country
mhm,
songwriter, incredible story, was in medical school, ended up coming to Nashville. They were like, "You suck, you should quit." He kind of went back home and to go back to medical school, and some guy brought him. I mean, the story is just
Mm.
this is not a world for the faint-hearted, and I know that you
mhm,
guys know that. This
Mhm.
is being in the music industry in any form at all. If you believe in music, it's not for the faint-hearted. But he was saying, the only difference between me and any other person is just that I just didn't give up.
right.
Mhm.
And then he went a step further and said, but also when I did give up, there was somebody telling me, no, 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 you can't give up yet.
No,
Mm.
it's
And so
so
that's
true. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so that's the community here
Yeah.
that's
Let-
remarkable. And that's definitely kept me going.
All right. Let's talk about the single again a little bit because Raining Hallelujah is coming out on the radio. I love this song. Tell us about that song a
Thank
little
you.
bit.
Yeah, so Rainy Hallelujah, and thank you so much for listening to it.
Mhm.
This is probably my third single ever in my career to really actually have the honor of being played on the radio. So thank you
Mhm.
guys for
Mhm.
listening to
Mm.
it. But the creation of Raining Hallelujah was me and Tia. It was our first song we ever wrote together. And I was just coming out of this very long relationship, which also involved a lot of loss and some death in that relationship. And then Tia's husband, who's an incredible songwriter, and she was married to him for 17 years, and he passed away right before I met her. And so when we met each other, it was and our fellow publisher, Dinah Mayer in Nashville, she was like, you guys have to write. I just know that you guys are connected. You got to write. And I know Tia said to Dee, she told me this later. She's like, I don't want to meet someone new because I can't, when you're in the pits of grief,
Right.
it's exhausting to think of talking about your story to somebody who doesn't already know you. And I was trying to not be starstruck by Tia because I am a huge fan of her songwriting. But we ended up meeting, and she just walked into the room and she goes, Shannon, I've had a horrible day. And I went on a hike and it was raining and I was just feeling really sad. And she goes, and I looked up in the storm clouds and there was a little sliver of cloud that opened and the sun came through it. And she looked at me and she goes, you know what? It was like it was raining hallelujah. And I get chills saying that, but I looked at her, I was like, okay, let's write that song. And so we just instantly connected in that. And Raining Hallelujah is about, the chorus is above every storm, a cloudless sky is waiting for me and you, and it's raining hallelujah. And what that means is in the midst of grief, in the pit of whatever struggle you are in, there is light. The sun is shining and it will come back and shine on you again. And it's something that Tia and I have clung to, and it's something that we feel so passionate about talking about. And the first verse, I know when we wrote it, the first verse is very dark and very intense and very true and real to many of the things that we were feeling and experiencing at the time. But my favorite part of that song is the first verse is sad and the rest of it is it's just the truth that the sun is shining.
In the video.
Yes.
Wow. Tell us about the video a little bit. Where did you shoot that?
Yeah, so I shot that, and this is my first trip since the pandemic flight anyway. It was back home to where I lived in Colorado, and it's up in the Rocky Mountain National Park, which is my favorite place in the world. And I went with my very good friend Sarah Holbrook, and Sarah and I worked a lot through the pandemic. She's an incredible musician. She's played violins on a lot of the newer stuff that we've recorded that's not even out yet. But she is also a director, and through the pandemic really honed in that skill. And so I just asked her, I'm like, will you come out for 4 days with me and can we try to shoot a video for Raining Hallelujah? And I'm really proud of it. And honestly, I wanted to be very open about grief and sadness and sorrow, and just these are very real things. And typically I'm a pretty upbeat person and I am a very optimistic person, but there have been many, many months where I've not been that person. And I know that everyone I know you both and every other person listening to this, I know that they know what that's like. And
absolutely.
And so we really wanted to capture it. And I told her, I was like, I kind of want to look like crap a little bit and like actually look and like maybe even just cry, but I don't even know if I can get into that headspace. And I wouldn't have been able to do that at all had it not been my good friend. But we worked really hard on that together. It was just her and me up there. So
wow. I don't think I saw you crying in the video, but I did see you in the water.
Yes. Oh yes, the very cold water.
Yes. I was gonna, it had to be cold if it's in the Rockies. So.
Yeah, it was very, very cold. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So if we go to shannonlabrie.com, the website, what are we going to find?
You're going to find a troll. No, I'm kidding. If you go to shannonlabrie.com, you're going to see the new record Building, which is out, that I still hopefully will be touring very soon. We're just starting to kind of get back to that after the pandemic. So. Yeah, but you will see the new record. It's called Building. And then you'll see the new official music video for Raining Hallelujah, which is the single that I'm very honored to be here talking about today.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you'll see a couple of tour dates. And the hope is, and I can't spill any beans, but yeah, hope is next year will be a lot more tour dates.
I think so.
I think so too.
I hope
thinking
so.
positive. There I go again, right?
Yes.
Optimistic. Yes.
I love that.
We'll see you here next year. There's no doubt.
Yes, I hope so.
And
Yes.
hopefully we see you. I know, Deb, and there's a huge bug on my wall.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Oh,
This
it's
thing
the
is like,
Ant-Man.
Did
I
it
don't-
just that
Don't
distracted
kill
you?
it. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't kill bugs. I
Sorry.
catch them and I throw them outside.
Isn't it amazing how certain things will distract you just
Yeah.
out of the blue? I mean, it's like there's all of a sudden I just out of the corner of my eye saw something going across
Yeah.
the wall over here. So,
So you're both working from home.
Mhm.
well,
Yeah.
we do and don't.
Mhm.
If need be, I can do my radio shift from here. I have the full podcast
Great.
studio. I do a lot of voiceover work as well. And I do a lot of, obviously it's all from home. The radio station, I still go in every day and do my air shift at the radio station, but I can also do stuff from here, I guess. So
That's amazing.
yeah. And
Well,
who would have thought, right?
Mhm.
I know. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
We could all do this.
Now, Deb.
Thank you,
she's-
internet.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
really.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. I have a good router. Everything's working good. Deb's
Yay.
computer's about to die, but other than that, we're
Oh
good.
yeah.
Oh, I'm holding steady at
forgot.
5%. I can't believe it.
I know.
Wow.
Right?
I know. If you weren't doing music, what do you think you would be doing?
It's good. I don't know. Crying somewhere.
I don't think she knows any other.
I know. So, okay, what was your first
I know. I
job?
tell you. My first job.
Yeah, your very first
I was a
job.
hostess at Ruby Tuesdays in
Ruby-
Lincoln,
oh my-
Nebraska. That was. Yep.
They closed all the Ruby Tuesdays around here. I don't even know
Yeah,
if they're still around anywhere, to be honest with you.
I don't know if they're either. But no, that was my first job. And technically, if I could count a first job, it would have been on the farm in Nebraska. But I can't count that because
No.
my parents never paid me for that work. So
Was it like
Yeah.
how many in your party, smoking or non-smoking? Back then,
Yeah.
they used to do that.
yeah,
Mhm.
and wipe off the table.
Yep. Excuse
Yeah.
me. Well, we'll get a table cleared for you. Just hold on one
Yeah.
moment, please.
Mhm.
That's
Thank you.
right. That was me. But I waited tables for a long time, and I've done lots of weird jobs. Like I worked at Gallup organization where you call people and do the polls.
I could
did
never do
that.
that. I could never do that.
Yep. I also was not good at that.
Nope.
I did that for a while. I've done a lot of weird on and off jobs.
Mm.
A lot of weird jobs. But yeah, and I did even through the pandemic. I have a kind of side business. There's a great company in town called Dash with Vintage, and they actually deal in like high-end mid-century modern furniture.
Mhm.
And actually through the pandemic, I just kind of went and found these really cool pieces of furniture. So
I'm
I
looking.
don't know, maybe
I'm looking at the lamp behind you. That's
Yeah.
got a cool design to it.
yes, it's beautiful. And there's a matching one over here. You can't see it.
Look at you.
But yeah, no, I love I would probably dealing in some type of furniture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually when I would find stuff and I put it on my Subaru. My Subaru is my dream car. I have a Subaru Forester and it has air conditioning. Let me rephrase that. Having air conditioning in my car is my dream car.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like I
But I was
said,
hauling yeah.
as long as it
what-
has four wheels, you can get around and you got air conditioning, you're good. That's it.
Exactly. I could put my guitar in it.
Yep.
We're good.
Yep. Throw it in the back.
But I'm putting like furniture on the roof of my car, strapping it down, and my boyfriend looked at me and he's like, "Could you not be into something like jewelry? Like, it's just nope. I'm into really big furniture that's really heavy and will hurt our backs
You're
forever."
like, how do we
That's
get
what I
this
like.
couch up on the roof of this car
Yeah.
so I can get it home?
Yeah. No, I actually have a reputation in town. I'm like the blue Subaru. They're like, "Oh,
There goes
you're the
Shannon.
girl with the blue Subaru with the furniture on the top." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." That's
So
what I
when
do.
Deb and I
Yeah.
show up in Nashville for the country radio seminar, we see a blue Subaru going down the road with the
Yeah.
couch on the roof.
I
We know
know.
it's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like 3 layers of furniture on the top.
The couch,
Yeah.
chair,
Our-
love
so-
seat.
Is CRS, is that happening
That
this year?
as far as I know, it is.
Mhm.
Amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so exciting.
You better
Have
get
you
down
been?
there. You better get there.
I have. I was there.
2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess it would have been. I know I have such a lapse of time understanding because 2020 was so much of kind of a mute. It was like a mute year.
It's a year
and
we're
so
gonna
it's like,
forget.
Mhm.
I
We're
know.
just gonna delete it. It's gonna go away.
Yeah.
We go from
Delete.
2019 to 2021. There'll be no.
And here we are. We're
2020.
almost to 2022, and
I
I
know.
It's
I
crazy.
can't believe it.
What do you
Yeah.
do for fun? I mean, I know music is fun. I get that, but what do you do outside of music that's fun?
Yeah. What do I do for fun? So I love nature.
Oh, wow.
I love nature and I love hiking. And so that's one of my number one things I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
I just love to be outside. I love to hike. I love to
Mhm.
be in the mountains
Oh,
and I
wow.
love to
Oh,
be near
that's my daughter.
trees.
She loves
Yeah.
all that too.
Yeah. I also love plants.
Uh-huh.
Actually, when I went through my breakup, I moved all my stuff out and put stuff in storage. I was trying to kind of figure out where I was going to go next.
Sure.
And I was crashing on Tia's couch for a little bit. And it was so funny because she's like, I was on tour for 2 months, but I was like, all right, I'm just going to bring kind of the necessities, right, of what I need for the next few months.
Mhm.
And so it's, 2 suitcases, which I can live out of very easily.
Mhm.
And then 14, 15 plants.
Oh my goodness.
And I have them in there. And she looked at me one day and she goes, "Hey, Shan, how many plants is too many plants?" So yeah, I know what you're saying. But yeah, I mean, if you saw the
Mhm.
realm of my home, I love plants and
It's awesome, though.
like yeah, when the weather's nice, I just love to go on my back patio and just love my plants.
That's
That's
cool.
that's what I do.
You said
Yeah.
you loved hockey before we went on
Yes.
the air tonight. You
Oh
said
yeah.
you love hockey.
Yes, and our season just started. The
Yeah.
Predators in Nashville,
Yeah. Yeah.
Tennessee just started, and I go to as many games as I can. I'm a huge hockey fan. I love it very much, and I love football.
Okay.
I love the Cornhuskers.
Mm.
Um, my siblings probably will disown me in this moment, but I
Uh-oh.
don't follow the games as much as I should, and
Oh,
I regret it. I
the
regret that I'm
Cornhuskers are
not.
missing you.
I know.
They
I
are.
know. But I love the Huskers because my dad would take us every year, he would take one of his kids to a game.
Awesome.
But those were the years when I was really little, and I remember dad made us wear these neon green hats
Oh my
so that
God.
if we got lost, we could
Yeah.
find us.
That's such a parent
Yeah.
thing. My kids used to hate I'd make them wear bright orange shirts when we'd go to Disney.
Yeah.
I
But
will
now they're really in
find
style. So
I know. I
you're just
know.
forward thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, we would go to the games, but that was in the 90s. So it's like
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
mid to late 90s. The Cornhuskers were
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Mhm.
And now we have Scott Frost. I don't know if anybody follows football, but Scott Frost is back and coaching the Cornhuskers,
There you
and
go.
we're gonna make our way back to the glory days.
There you go. Yep.
Mhm.
Believe it.
Yep. Bring it all
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, I believe in Nebraska
Mhm.
and Nashville.
That's
There
all.
you go.
There's nothing wrong with that. And the Predators, that is cool. Love going to a
Yeah.
Predators game. So
Oh my gosh! Also, if you guys are ever in town,
yeah. Well,
let me know.
Deb's
Well,
there every other
I have
day.
connections to tickets, so we
Oh,
should all go to a Preds game. That would be so
Yes.
fun.
that would be
Let's
fun.
make it a date, a
Oh
plan,
yeah, and the
not a date, a
seats are
plan.
so good
Date.
too.
Yeah.
They're so great.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, Deb is there every other hour. But
You notice
so
how
it
he
seems-
went from every other week to every other day
Yep.
to every other hour.
Yeah. And now I think you live here. I think we're roommates now at this
Yeah.
point.
Pretty
Yeah.
soon.
No, we're neighbors because you're like right there.
Oh,
See?
yeah.
I know,
There
we're
you
so
go.
close.
Exactly.
So-
Exactly.
So how did you get into you're wearing an I Believe in Nashville t-shirt.
Yes.
Mhm.
And this is a t-shirt that they did after the tornado.
Yes.
So how did you get into that?
I just happened to see it online because working country radio, and
Yeah.
I have
course.
knowing a lot of artists, and just what I do. I just happened to see it, and you're right. It was right after the tornado, and the
Mhm.
proceeds were going
Mhm.
Yep.
to those that needed it. So I
Yes.
jumped online and bought one, and
Yeah.
so that's all. And I love it. I love the shirt. I love the
Mhm.
shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the same shirt in my closet. I kind of wish I would have worn it because we could be twins.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Now, were you so how close were you to that tornado? You said it was really like right there.
Yeah, just I live on Basketball Street.
Okay.
Did at the time, and so yeah, it's just a couple streets over on
Wow.
Woodland, which is where it happens.
Mhm.
And thankfully, everyone on our street was okay, and the houses were okay. But it was very much like growing up in Nebraska. I've been in several tornadoes growing up,
Mm.
and so I'm very familiar with. They're just very wild.
There's no
They're
place
so
to go.
unpredictable, and it's like they'll take. I remember one of my good friends in high school. a tornado came through. And it was one of the biggest tornadoes in the country for almost 2 years, this tornado. And they had just built this beautiful house. They had a farm and horses and cows. And I guess it was our senior year because she had all of the graduation envelopes with all the, the gifts and money for graduation. They were in a basket on the dining room table. All these envelopes in a basket on the table. And the house, the entire back side of this huge house was completely gone, torn off. And like the dining room, where there was a house, you look out the dining room and it's just all gone.
Yeah.
But that basket of envelopes was sitting on the table.
See,
that is so weird.
That is so weird.
Yeah. So it's just, they're really, really wild. And, there were a lot of lives lost through that tornado.
Yeah.
And thankfully, my friends were okay. And
well, thank the good Lord.
It's just very, very lucky. Yeah.
See, all that amazes me. And here in the Northeast, where we're based out of, it seems to be more and more. We're getting more tornado warnings now and alerts. We never used to get this stuff. And
interesting.
Now it's happening more and more. We just had one, a week ago, 5 in the morning or
Did it
6 in the morning.
touch
Well, all of a sudden our phones are going off saying a tornado warning and blah, blah. You start getting the spiel and it's like, what do you do? Where do you go? What do you got to, we never used to get those.
Yeah.
Never. I think of like Nebraska and, the
Kansas
the heartland,
City,
Kansas.
Yep, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
And I think of the Wizard of Oz, not to be funny here, but I think, those places. And
well, there's a reason for that.
Yeah. No, I know that. And it's just amazing. And for it to hit, when it hit Nashville, it was like, oh my God. And I'm calling my friends that live there going, hey, are you okay? And then they had the bombing after that. It just, are you kidding me?
I know that Nashville's
it's
We've been through it all this past year, that's for sure.
Yeah, and again, so thankful that the bombing, didn't hurt anyone, which is a true miracle, an absolute miracle. But I can't believe that happened. And still part of that, and of course, how things, even the tornado damage, some places are still not rebuilt.
Right.
But just becomes part of your everyday. And so sometimes you're used to it. And then every once in a while you're like, oh yeah, 2nd Avenue's still closed down because a bomb went off during Christmas. Like, wow.
I remember it like it was yesterday. Shannon LaBrie is who we have been speaking with tonight, a country artist. Her music is just beautiful, awesome, has a lot of meaning.
Thank you.
If you're viewing this, or maybe we're live right now, but down the road, if you watch it back, make sure you go to the website, ShannonLaBrie.com. You can find everything out about that young lady right there. I love your attitude. I love the way you look at life. I think it's just, you've got a great future. Obviously, you've been doing this for a little bit, the 3 full albums and a whole bunch of singles, and you've been dropping them to radio, and of course the new one, Raining Hallelujah, that's out there now. It's just, girl, you're just, before you know it, bam.
I know. Well, she didn't let the cat out of the bag, but she's got something stirring for next year. So
yeah, we do have some things stirring for next year.
We'll find out.
I know. I also,
I hate
secrets. I hate secrets so much, and my friends know this. So it's like whenever I have something, it's just
she wants to say it so bad, but she can't. All right, we'll change the subject. What did you dress up for Halloween?
What's so this year?
Okay.
I've been just as we all are. We're getting kind of. I feel like over the last couple of months, more than ever, since the pandemic, since 2020, things are just really kind of getting back into the motion of things. And as we all are, we're like, oh yeah, like okay, I'm getting back into the motion of it. And so for Halloween, I was like, I'm kind of tired. Like it's been a really busy week, and I think I'm just gonna lay low. And one of my best friends, Rebecca Bell, she has this book club. I also love fantasy.
Okay.
I love fantasy books.
Oh, I got you.
I'm a proper nerd. I think that's what they call people like us.
I totally can relate, but go ahead.
Yes. So love fantasy, love all that. And anyway, her book club was having a Halloween get together, which just was like charcuterie and wine and just talking about books. I was like, oh yeah, I'll come to that for a little bit. I want to get back home and be in bed by 10. And she ended up coming with a makeup bag And she looked at me and she goes, "Would you like a wound?" And I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Do you want to be a zombie?" It's like,
Mm.
"Oh, okay." So anyway, she ended up painting my face and I had exposed brains and
Oh.
I had lots of I mean, it was she's very talented,
Oh,
but so I was a
okay.
zombie for Halloween is what I was.
Excellent. It's been
Yeah.
a lot of fun catching up with you here tonight, and we don't want to take up much more of your time, but it has been great, and just a fun person, a great outlook on life, and a lot going for you. So
Mhm.
Hey, thank you guys so much. And I hope that we get to hang out. I would love to take you to my favorite restaurant over on the east side, Lockham Table, and would love to grab drinks and you can come sit on my mid-century modern
somebody
furniture.
say
And
drinks.
yeah, I know.
That's
Somebody
it.
say drink.
Oh, what? Okay,
Yeah.
what's your favorite drink? I have to
My
know.
favorite, I drink. You're gonna laugh at me because it's such a popular drink in Nashville. Jack and Coke.
Mhm.
Oh, all right. Well, no, it's very classic.
That
Kind of how about you?
Deb.
What, mine? Oh, I kind of created my own little concoction. So I like
Oh, geez.
Malibu rum and pineapple juice with a splash of cranberry and a splash of grenadine. Kind of like a
Ooh,
little bit milder Bahama Mama kind of thing.
That sounds
yeah.
complicated.
Oh, it's
But the
very
bartenders,
islandy.
they just laugh at me. But now, like at Tully's, they know. It's like, all right.
That's where
there
she goes and watches the football games with the other ladies.
Yeah.
Usually it's a
Love
bunch of
that.
guys going out, and Deb goes out. She's with all the girls. So
I love that. You don't even have to order it. They just bring it to you. They
Great.
just
yeah,
set it to you.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
welcome
know us
back,
all.
Deb. She's
What-
got her own stool. They know what time she's going to be there. It's all good. It's all good.
I
You're
love that.
funny.
Shannon,
So,
you're awesome. Thanks for hanging
Hey,
out with
you
us.
guys are awesome. Thanks for letting me hang out with you.
Yeah,
And I hope
definitely.
to meet you in person in 3D sometime soon.
Well, don't hang
Yeah.
up when we go off the air. We'll grab
Okay.
And make sure you check out the official country music fan club. Go ahead, Deb. You give all the digits because I screw it up all the
the
time.
digits. Just follow us on Facebook if you get a chance at the official CMFC and on Instagram. And then what we'll also do is when you have new music dropping, we
Which she
have
does.
a great social media team that puts out our new music Fridays, and we very much support the independent artists. So we love to get your
Yes.
information out there. So
As a matter of fact,
Love
we got
that.
another new music Friday coming up. So Raining Hallelujah might be able to make that little thingy there. Deb.
So is that one actually? So that hasn't been released yet, right? Did I miss that, or it has?
It is out now.
Okay.
It is out currently.
Well, we can
Yes.
certainly.
But is happy
Ma-
to participate in a
Yes,
new music Friday.
actually, definitely, of course.
Yeah.
Of
Yes.
course.
I love new music Fridays.
Well, what was great was
do.
last week, Skip. I don't know if you saw, but we had an awesome selection of artists that we interviewed. It was great. It was really nice to see that they had some music coming out.
Yes, absolutely. It's that time of the year too,
Mhm.
which is really good. Also, Skip Happens on YouTube. Just subscribe and you'll never miss one of these. We talk to a lot of our artists, a lot of our favorite artists, people like you. They're all on there, and anywhere that you should get your podcast, you can hear the audio as well. So, Shannon, you're awesome. I want you to hang on there, and good night, everybody. Thank you for watching. It's another edition
Yes.
of Skip Happens. Good
Good
night.
night.
Good
Thank you for
night.
joining. Mm.